In the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see the troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name. Finding a place to belong today can't seem a losing game. Nowhere to go like a dorm in college is never quite the same. Then our friends move away. Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see the troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name. Everybody has hopes and dreams no matter where we're from. Look at the world through another's eyes, the bigger it becomes. Tell every person needs a chance. And yes, we want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You want to be where you and me have freedom from fear and shame. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
All right, I just want to thank everyone here for coming. This is Sunday Assembly. We're the global movement of wonder and good. And I want to invite Nancy up to share a game so you can get to know who else is here.
Good morning and happy May. I was thinking, because it was Mother's Day, if you could share just one thing with with two people you don't know, about either mom or someone who was like a mom to you. Just something about them. Were they a good cook? Were they silly? Were they, goofy? Did they like to sew? Just a couple of quick things. So share with two people you do not know.
What did you do? I'm in grad school. I'm the only one.
Running around for a decade now. One back.
Well, my mom. I just never had to do.
Always thinking of others, whether it's myself or somebody else. Yep, first time.
Not like a
Alright, well hopefully you are getting to know each other a little bit better and hearing some fun stories about each other's moms. Hopefully they're all fun stories, not crazy stories. Those are okay too.
We're sorry if it was.
So kind of the theme of today is getting to shared humanity, thinking about what we all have in common. So what better way to do that than to talk about our weirdness? But what better way to do that is than with a song like Come Together. So that is going to be our first song for today, and I hope it goes okay.
That's all we have.
All right.
Here come on flat top, here come rolling up slowly. He got Juju eyeball, he won holy roller. He got hair down to his knees. Got to be a joker, he just do what he please. He wears a shoe shine, he got toes and football, he got monkey finger, he drinks Coca-Cola, he say, I know you, you know me. One thing I can tell you is you got to be free. Come together right now over me. He back production, he got Wallace Gumboot, he got Bono Cyborg, he won Spinal Cracker, he got beat down below his knees. Hold you in his armchair, you can feel his disease. Come together right now over me. This is a happy end. 'Cause you don't understand everything you have done. Why is everything so wrong? This is a happy end. Come give me your hand, I'll take you far away. I'm a new soul, I came to this strange world, hoping I could learn a bit about how to give and take. But since I came here, felt the joy and the fear, finding myself making every possible mistake. La 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 la. La 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 la.
All right, I just want to welcome you again to Sunday Assembly. My name is Erin Manthe, and I'm sort of, well, I guess I'm technically the president of this group.
You are the president.
And I've been sort of in the background doing some things with Sunday Assembly for a while now, but this is the first time I've hosted. So I'm a little bit nervous. But I guess I'm not supposed to say that. That's what my more experienced host fiance has told me.
But you're getting married in 2 weeks, and that won't make you go.
I am getting married in 2 weeks. I graduated from college 2 weeks ago, but I had time to do this too. Sunday Assembly is about wondering more, helping often, and living better. And it's also been a huge part of my life in building community and making friends. And there's been some bumps in the road, but it's been a really good experience for me. And I was just reflecting on that when we were singing the La La's, and there were 23 of them, and we learned something about different personalities recently, and how Tom, I'm going to call you out, and he's a camel, and he's very detail-oriented, and it was important to him when we were putting this together that you get the right amount of La La's. And so that's one of the things I appreciate, is getting to know people like that and finding their idiosyncrasies, and that's what I have to say. Without further ado, though, I'd like to welcome Jacqueline Larson to do a reading for us.
So I love the poet Maya Angelou, and as we were looking for the topic of this month, I kept finding kind of heavy stuff. And this was a more lighthearted but deep poem, so I hope you'll all enjoy it, and we'll read more of her work because she's amazing. This is called The Human Family. I note the obvious differences in the human family. Some of us are serious. Some thrive on comedy. Some declare their lives are lived as true profundity, and others claim they really live the real reality. The variety of our skin tones can confuse, bemuse delight. Brown and pink and beige and purple, tan and blue and white. I've sailed upon the 7 seas and stopped in every land. I've seen the wonders of the world, yet not one common man. I know 10,000 women called Jane and Mary Jane, but I've not seen any two who really were the same. Mirror twins are different, although their features jibe, and lovers think quite different thoughts while lying side by side. We love and lose in China. We weep on England's moors, and thrive and moan in Guinea, and thrive on Spanish shores. We seek success in Finland, are born and die in Maine. In minor ways we differ, in major we're the same. I note the obvious differences between each sort and type. But we are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike.
All right, and now I'd like to welcome up Mohammed to talk about the Ubuntu cultural thinking, and I think it'll be really interesting. I've been learning a little bit more about African culture myself, and I can only say I've learned a tiny bit, but I'm really excited to hear this, so I hope you are too.
I'd like to say, first of all, thank you for having me here. When Hertzie first approached me and said that she wanted me to give a talk, and I've heard Sunday Assembly. I was in LA in October and met with some folks from the branch that you guys have up there, and thinking about what I wanted to say and knowing the motto, live better, let's see here, live better, help often, and wonder more. I kept going back to Ubuntu and what Ubuntu means. Ubuntu, as it's known in South Africa, Ubuntu, it is known in Malawi, Unhu in Zimbabwe, Harambe in Kenya, and Debo in Ethiopia. It's an African philosophy of humanness, of how despite our geographical language and all other differences, you can think of, we're still connected to one another because we're human and because of our humanity. We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. The great Maya Angelou. There is an expression of Ubuntu that says, your pain is my pain, my wealth is your wealth, and your salvation is my salvation. It's about the individual being so rooted in the community that your personal identity is defined by what you give to the community. For instance, a greeting of the Shona people says, good morning, did you sleep well? Yes, I have slept well, if you have. How has your day been? My day has been good, if your day has been good. And this goes on and on and on. In other words, we're so linked within our community that if you don't sleep well or if you're not having a decent day, how could I? In Ubuntu, this sort of greeting would apply to a stranger you met on the street as well as a friend or a family of anyone. More simply put, in the words of Desmond Tutu, I am what I am because of you. It's a catchphrase that talks of the basic respect, empathy, and compassion for others. Just like the old labor slogan would say, an injury to one is an injury to all. It highlights community sentiment. Ubuntu moves us to open ourselves to others, to learn of others as we learn of ourselves. A person or a community that embraces Ubuntu is open and available to others, affirms and respects others, does not feel threatened by others' strengths or abilities, because he or she is aware that we all belong to a greater whole. Injustices exist. Inequalities exist in every aspect of communities, severely crippling socially, economically, politically. A kryptonite, perhaps, to Ubuntu would be a climate of conformity, interpersonal caution, a non-acceptance of others that perseveres in every structure you can think of, among many of our cities as well, and in all nations around the world. A psychological fear of stepping outside of the bounds of social convention, ignorance, and many times
people just simply feeling they're in a comfort zone. Race is a theory of construction, social construction. Racism, however, is reality. Racism is socially constructed and is not inherent. The sociological consequences of this are that human beings are socialized into racism and grow up with assimilated and racist stereotypes that are learned, not born with. Fundamental radical changes in our way of life are unavoidable. But whether these changes are for better or for worse, it will not depend on those who sit on the sideline and go along with the status quo. Those who, in the words of Dr. King, are more devoted to order than to justice, who prefer a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to positive peace, which is the presence of justice. A world of individual ruthlessness and collective numbness to the appeals of moral decency, if it becomes tolerably unchecked, this attitude of separatism and advantage that exists in most societies, including our own, will continue to enrich the few at the expense of the many, while making ever harsher demands on the poor and those most vulnerable. And we see this in the eyes of neighbors and nations all around the world, functioning without any measure of interconnection or stability. This climate of self-imposed limitation is a huge barrier to social justice. Political, economical, educational progress, and the humanity that Ubuntu wishes of all of us, and the essence of what a true rainbow world personifies. As an African philosophy of humanism, Ubuntu stresses the concept of communal understanding and the active appreciation of the importance of human differences. It obliges us to know and understand others within a multiculturalism environment. Your local chapter here is also a vital part of the community you live in, because you have the responsibility of working to address the challenges prevalent in society, and more importantly, in your own communities. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Sunday Assembly chapter in Los Angeles volunteered to read to children at a downtown elementary school. They donate blood. They plant trees with local charity organizations. And that's what Ubuntu is. At its core, it echoes the deep truth within all of us that we are all one. Even though centuries of painful history and divisive ideologies have underscored and magnified our differences rather than our commonalities. The good neighbor looks beyond the external accidents and discerns those inner qualities that make all men human and therefore brothers. Strength to love were the letters that Dr. King wrote in his sermons, stressing the bond between humanity which he used as a rationale to fight both the systemic racism here in America and in the war in Vietnam. When we act upon the deepest sense of being connected to others by our common humanity, when we truly regard self and other as one, when we cherish human dignity above all of our relationships and the level of our behaviors and actions are raised to a higher plane. When we understand and practice Ubuntu, we will realize that each of us has a vital role to play, which must be held in balance, no one dominating the other, so we can all live better, help often, and wonder more as communities. Thank you.
Did I disappoint you? Or leave a bad taste in your mouth? You act like you never had love. You want me to go without? Well, it's too late tonight. The dragon passed out into the light. We're one, but we're not the same. We get to carry each other, one. Have you come here for forgiveness? Have you come to raise the dead? Have you come here to play Jesus to the lepers in your head? Did I ask too much? More than a lot? You gave me nothing, now it's all I got. We're one, but we're not the same. We hurt each other, then we do it again. You say, love is a temple, love high above. Love is a temple, love high above. You ask me to enter, then you make me crawl. And I can't be holding on to what you got, when all you got is hurt. One love, one blood, one life. You got to do what you should. One life with each other, sisters, brothers. One life, but we're not the same. To carry each other, one.
All right, I just want to welcome up Keith to share one thing he knows. He knows more than one thing, though.
Yes, I had to pick from the half a dozen things I know. It was tough narrowing it down to one. Matthew asked me to talk about something in my life experience, and it does connect to today in terms of human expectations and failures, but it's a bit more pedestrian than the things that have been talked about so far. So, but there is something that ties it all together, and something at the end that I think makes sense. When I decided what to talk about, I thought that the best way I could do that was to relate some of the experiences I had when I was pursuing an acting career in Southern California. I was out there, I was in a period of transition, aka unemployed. And I thought, one day I was thinking about what am I going to do, because I had no idea. And let's see, I'm in Southern California. I have a good friend who's a commercial actor, makes a living, a nice living, doing commercials. And I thought, I'll do that. And I set about finding out what I had to do to get started. Well, about the same time, a friend of mine who had just recently started a special promotions and marketing agency called and said, you want to come work with us? We can offer you a commission and flexible hours and so forth. And I thought, well, that works. I can have flexible hours, I can pursue the acting and make some money and keep going. Things were working out. No, not Okay, I found out relatively quickly that the commercial acting world was not waiting for me to show up. The message was, we didn't send for you and we don't need you. I got that through my agent. The comments were, you're not the guy next door, he's not Midwest enough. This is about the guy from Minnesota. Not Midwest enough. So, just as an aside, in the 5 years that I was out there pursuing this, I did exactly 3 commercial things. 2 public service messages, 1 movie commercial, no residuals, no contract, 3 isolated instances. So, the other thing that happened as I was trying to get this going was I thought that I would get some great support from friends and relatives. Silly me. Because only my closest friend and my brother said, good, go for it, we'll help you where we can, and so forth and so on. Everybody else was in response, what are you doing now? Well, I'm pursuing acting. Oh, that's nice. Or the best one was, I think there's a little actor in all of us.
Oh.
But it was a lot of that, and on to, oh, I don't really see you as an actor. Anyway, I persevered, I kept going. I turned to really low budget independent movies, theater, some television. And I just want to relate one last experience that I had before wrapping this up. I had an audition at 3:30 in the afternoon in Hollywood for 1 episode of a television series to play a detective. I thought, I lived 30 miles from it. I thought, I'll leave at 2:30, plenty of time. I don't remember what happened with traffic, but it turned into a 2.5-hour journey. It was in the high 90s as the temperature. The AC in the car went out. I was frustrated beyond belief. I thought about pulling off the freeway to find a payphone to call somebody, because in those days there were cell phones, but they weighed 30 pounds, and it was $1,000 a minute to use them. So I decided to just keep going, and when I got there, I said, I'm going to walk in, tell them I apologize, and get in my car and go back home and call it a day. Well, I got there at 5 o'clock, so I was an hour and a half late, but instead of doing what I just told you, I walked in and said this. Hi, I'm Keith McCarthy. I was supposed to be here at 3:30 for an appointment. It's 5 o'clock. I'm an hour and a half late. Does anybody still want to see me? I really had a bad attitude about being there. I didn't want to be there anymore. And to my surprise, because I expected them to say, well, no, you're too late, goodbye. They said, yes, we do. So it turned out to be an interview and not an audition. I interviewed with the casting director. During this interview, I don't remember what was said. I do remember that I was incredibly surly and at times monosyllabic. I didn't want to be there. So I walked out, got outside, and I thought to myself, congratulations, you have fixed it so that this company will never hire you again. And I just said, I'm going home, have many drinks, and forget about the day. The next day, I got a phone call from that production company offering me a part. So, here's how it ties together, okay? I set out to be a commercial actor, working in commercials, not in theater, not in TV, in commercials. Didn't happen. I thought my friends and family would be supportive. Once again, didn't happen. I tried with all my heart to myself, and it didn't happen. So, this will not be revelatory to anyone, but one thing I know is I have no control over the outcome of anything. I can control my activity, my action, and it's something I have to be reminded of, but I have no control over anything, and that is one thing I know.
All right, point in time, we can take a moment to just reflect on what you've heard so far today, and we'll recap. hopefully I have time to think. What a lot of what has been said today has made me think about is the power of story and how each person has an individual story. Jacqueline talked about many people with the same name, but all different. And Mahad spoke about each different culture and how we can reach across those boundaries to understand humanness at any level. And Keith has a story of his own that he shared about struggling through failure and success at the same time. And one of the personal things for me in terms of story is today's Mother's Day, and my mom and I don't have the most, how do I put this? We don't always get along that great. And I've been thinking, but recently I've been spending more time with her and prep for this wedding, and been getting to know her story a little bit more and understanding where she's coming from. And it really has helped me to reach across that boundary in my life. And I realized that she has done her best. I shouldn't have picked Mother's Day. That was a mistake. But it's really moved me in a lot of ways, and we were reflecting over lunch yesterday, and it was good to hear that she's having a really good time at this part of her life and loving seeing how her daughters have grown up. And I realized that there's so many good things about that relationship in my life. And anyway, I wanted to just reflect that back to all of you, and that is what I have to say, I think. Yeah. Let's have one more song. Oh, and there will be, what?
Announcements?
Oh yeah, there are some things coming up with Sunday Assembly. This is not the only thing we do each month. There will be a brunch in the beginning of June, and there will be backyard movie nights coming up soon. Yay. Saturday nights at the Hertz's. And if you enjoyed this, come back next month, June 14th. David will be speaking. So, what do you have to say?
All the talking that I normally do up here out of the way, James. Talking about libraries. Oh. So yes, we have one more song. That was a good kind of closer for what we've been hearing about today. What do you think about it?
It's fun to sing.
It is. You may have noticed that our band is a little bit smaller today. Kind of put this. What?
Join us.
Yes. So if you have any inclination, any interest in musicking, we're a fun bunch. We're not Jesus. Okay. So we did the song almost a year ago, last year. Hopefully most of you know.
Quickly when I institution and I lay on my God till I lay every single day for a revolution. And so I cry sometimes when I lie in bed just to get it all out what's in my head. And I'm feeling a little peculiar. And so I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I scream out, my Lord, what's going on? And I say, I said, hey, what's going on? I said, I say, what's going on? 25 years and my life is still trying to get up that great big hill of hope for a destination.
Just in case you didn't get enough games, we've got one more. If you will notice that magically on your table there is a jar of M&Ms. I want everybody to take 2.
And eat them.
You can eat the rest after that, but right now just take 2. Same color, different color, don't really care, just take 2. Park them in front of you. And after you've all taken 2, you can split up the rest and eat them. I know a couple people were like, oh, I can't eat them. I'm like, no, not yet. All right, I'm going to go over here. I know that's too small to read, but we'll try. So, for every brown M&M you got, I want you to share something about Mahat's talk. For every blue, something about the reading. A red one, about one thing I know. If you picked green, I want you to share something that happened to you this week that was silly. And orange, favorite ice cream. And yellow, nobody can read that, your least favorite cookie. Some of us, that's a pretty small list. Tiny, tiny. But if you could just go around and share those, and while you do that, we have cookies and other treats, so please get up, refill your coffee, hot chocolate tea, beverage, grab something to nibble, and feel free to ask, because I know I didn't have markers big enough to make this.
I'll put that one back. I stole your chair.
In high school, and whenever I made cookies in high school, I would burn a pan just for her. Because they were her favorite.
Look at it.
My husband does too.
Looking at other ways that we
Now, it
can.
wasn't silly because I chose to make
That's a good one. My least favorite cookie would be Santa's Whiskers because they have coconut.
And I'm not going to talk about it when it gets into politics. We can give
I put one in my mouth and was like,
and just
why did you do that?
My favorite speech cookie would have to be any statue of
next.
There's a red one.
Red is yellow. one thing I found that no idea where you're going to go at the very end, and then it stuck with me because at the very end, it's very short, can't control our surroundings, you can't control what happens, other than just how we respond. We control
Well, you guys got an hour? Okay. I'm gonna go for pistachio. I think pistachio is my favorite ice cream. It doesn't taste too much like the color green. Sort of tastes there. Yeah, exactly. Something that's silly that's happening. So we were eating. I'm gonna steal yours. Sorry. We were eating at a restaurant last night, and pretty regularly. And she's starting to eat, so just needed to as luck would have it, we didn't have anything for her to chew on other than like stuff like that. It's not like there's nice eating. Anyways, we got calamari, and we're like, well, it's rubbery. So we gave one to her, and thankfully the restaurant was super crowded. She started just gnawing on it, super fierce. And then she just started pulling on it. And just, there was a period of time where she would just, she almost just shot it out. And had that happened, we would have had to leave, I'm pretty sure. Because she was really pulling hard on it, and it almost lost her fingers. And so I was mortified. Thankfully the table was next to us, thought it was funny, but I was on the third, but it worked out.
Driving in the car, I had a bottle of water, whatever it was, in my cup holder. And sometimes I'll just get rested on my thigh as I'm driving, you know. Get back in the cup holder sometimes. What I didn't realize was I had to steal Caribou Mocha in the cup holder, and so when I kept putting it on my thigh, I had these circular stains on my pants the entire time without realizing. That's a silly thing.
He's the one that called me. It's like, he's the one that caused it. I do a lot of birthday parties, so nature me and I had a large because I got a hot from an hour. It was awesome. I completely took this with her.
I mean, I come next month, the first thing, I'm gonna understand
the end of we kept coming back to like right around that spot. Like this looks like a really good spot. Like you guys see this cut.
So I'm gonna have to get a button machine myself. As I was this morning, I found a surprise that I was a couple of photos of some kids in them. And I clicked and it's like, I'm like, I wish I had another hour and a stack of more material.
It was a piece of mine.
Oh, you can say, you can continue with your stories. Thank you, snack over there, and you're welcome to enjoy now.
I'm hoping the M&M thing worked out.
Whenever I hear
It's hard to come up with something. You want to, and basically it's just some goofy way to get people to talk.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the transmission died.
Is it?
Well, I'm going to put a new transmission.
Cool. Cars are so fun.
And because of that, the power pressure on the radio, most of it is gone. Now all of a sudden we got a better. Yeah. I know you are. So I know that I was
It's fine. Well, that's why when I bought Lily, my yellow car, it was funny, I said to him, this car still lasts 14 years. And he kind of looked at me and said, no, my last car, it lasted 14 years. I said,
Really our sorrows.
Yeah, I parked really close. Just in front of the...
Okay, cool. Why did the excitement? I finally applied for the psychotherapist project. So now they have to vet me, so they have to make sure that I'm really what I say I am. Basically, you
Did you make sure you're secular?
because the commitment is I'll never bring up faith. I mean, you'll say you should go to church to anybody, and that I won't use any woo-woo therapy.
Any woo-woo therapy?
But that really helped, because when they connect to somebody who, it's private vote. Oh, is it? You know, you always go,
They would grab their child, kill them.
it seems to be a lot of change.
Their kid told the family.
She looks like
And it wasn't so much as a here he is, take prevention. It's coming from you feeling your pain, everybody understands. In terms of also labeling what that child could have been,
that was
it's interesting.
And then also,
It is.
I think she does.
What one dreams of, one day knows.
I know that, but then there's going wrong with science everywhere because my daughter's got big pants up. And she finds something like
So it's got to be It's interesting.
as I discovered, he probably transformed himself. They're all it's hard to get into the professor. I got these things. What I got this done is that most of my landmarks are small. So they started pumping it over. And the way they do it is they show people and so they can see what percentage you done this perfect. Human migration.
That's the line on the edges. So yeah, I have a friend. So anyway, commenting on I loved your talk. I think it was. I'm actually a I really like my back here. And I guess I don't know if they're both funny. Never know what Harambe meant. Fun that's where they got it from.
To be honest.
Here's the philosophy. Here's upstairs. Stops and goes. This is much more laid back and how it flows.
Hello, everyone.
Sometimes.
You have to hear from me one more time.
1 second.
But what I want to say is I hope you can continue talking and playing the game or doing whatever you're doing, but we'd also like you to have some treats and talking. or tea or lemonade.
And you can leave whenever you want.
I was going to say.
But to say that.
And I couldn't put my attitude down. Just walked in there and just my attitude. Yeah, these tell me. They didn't see it. Sometimes it works.
Yeah.